The Raiders are trying to push themselves forward by throwing it back to what worked in the past. With the rehiring of Jon Gruden as head coach, the philosophy is comfortably getting the players out of their comfort zone. While Gruden will call the plays, Greg Olsen returns as his offensive coordinator. Oakland's base 4-3 defense will transition under former Bengals coordinator Paul Guenther. Derek Carr has the smarts and natural West Coast passing attributes to rebound from a down 2017 season, but the quarterback will need to adjust to his new supporting cast after a big shakeup. Khalil Mack also fell a little last season from his Defensive Player of the Year and All-Pro level. With a remade back seven and a bolstered line rotation, Oakland's goal will be putting Mack in better positions to produce. Here is a deeper dive into the black hole to examine what the key changes on the depth chart mean for the Raiders' 2018 outlook. Running back last season, Marshawn Lynch defied his age, now 32, and became a bright spot in a disappointing year for Oakland's offense. But there's already a sense that Gruden and Olsen don't want to lean heavily on beast mode this season. Former Buccaneer Doug Martin was signed to give them a slightly younger and more versatile option for early downs. Martin has gone from a roster flyer in Tampa to a viable alternative for Oakland. His skills in both the running and passing games mesh better with his new team. The Raiders were predictable with Lynch on power downs, then speedsters Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington as the change of pace backs on third downs. If his burst on receiving pop return, Martin can earn key touches. Regardless, Lynch will remain the leader of Oakland's rushing attack. His hard running and his attitude are bound to please Gruden and permeate through the rest of the team. NFL Stadium rankings, Raiders still playing in a dump wide receiver. The Raiders parted ways with Michael Crabtree and Cordarrelle Patterson. They brought in Jordy Nelson, Martavis Bryant and Ryan Switzer. Amari Cooper is coming off a down season, but he will be the clear-cut no. One receiver for the first time in his career and will be treated as such by the new coaching staff. Trickling down from Cooper and his additional targets, how the Raiders use Nelson and Bryant will be interesting to watch. Nelson is 33 and doesn't have the home run speed he once had, but he can still grab jump balls in scoring position. Bryant has both the size to be a red zone monster and the speed to be a downfield playmaker, but he needs to keep his head on straight in order to get opportunities to show off his skills. It would make the most sense for Oakland to use Nelson as a Saints-style, big slot receiver, with Bryant lining up outside opposite Cooper in frequent three-wide sets. Nelson was good on inside routes 2 years ago, and for the betterment of Carr and the other wideouts, it's time for the former Packer to stay in the slot full-time. Switzer will take over Patterson's role as the primary return man, but he might not see regular work in the offense. The same goes for former No. 3 wideout Seth Roberts, who will be on the roster bubble come training camp. The Raiders' last receiver spot likely will come down to third-year speedster Johnny Holton or rookie 7th-round possession man Marcell Aitman. Offensive line. The interior of Oakland's line remains intact with guards Kelechi Osemele and Gabe Jackson and center Rodney Hudson. At left tackle, Donald Penn is 35 and coming off a major foot Lisfranc injury. It was enough of a concern for the Raiders to draft UCLA's Colton Miller in the first round. If Penn can get back to form or close to it, then the Raiders will get a major upgrade with Miller playing right tackle. If not, and if the rookie has to play left tackle, the right side will be weak. David Sharp and rookie third-rounder Brandon Parker would battle for the job. Either way, the Raiders need Miller to be ready to play. NFL Draft History. Can you name Oakland Raiders' worst ever pick? Defensive line alongside Mack on the line are the same starters in end Mario Edwards Jr. and tackles Eddie Vanderdoes and Justin Ellis. Gone from the depth chart behind them, though, or Danico Autry and Jihad Ward. 3 rookies, tackles P.J. Hall and Maurice Hurston and Arden Key have joined the group, and former 49ers end Tank Carradine was signed for extra help against the run. In order to make up for an anemic 4-man pass rush beyond Mack last season, the Raiders often blitzed extra men. Gunther's approach will be different. He will send different combinations of 4 men and try to create more one-on-one situations for Mack. Ellis is good at stopping the run and will stay dedicated to that job. Gunther doesn't have a Geno Atkins in Oakland like he did in Cincinnati, so he will hope to tap into some of Vanderdoes' pass rush upside. The coordinator also will try to get to the QB situationally with Hall and or Key, depending on how well and how quickly they develop. One thing is for sure, with AA gap principles and emphasis on interior pressure, the Raiders' front 4 will be much more active in trying to disrupt pass plays to match how well they can defend the run. Linebacker Bruce Irvin remains Oakland's starter on the strong side, but Corey James, cut, and Navarro Bowman, not resigned, or gone. The Raiders replaced them first with their top free agent addition in former Lion Tahir Whitehead and then with former Chief Derek Johnson. To aid in the transition to Gunther's scheme, Oakland also added former Bengal and Viking Emmanuel Lemur. Whitehead played the weak side in Detroit, and Johnson was a 3-4 inside fixture in Kansas City. But because Whitehead is such an active run defender and good blitzer, he is best in the middle. Johnson, still a will at heart, can make plays in coverage with fewer upfield assignments. Whitehead is an upgrade from James, and Johnson is a drop-off from Bowman. Gunther will take advantage of their experience and put them in spots to make plays. Cornerback. Now that they have moved on from the disappointing duo of David Amerson and Sean Smith, the Raiders should be excited about their new starters. Darren Conley, the last year's first-rounder, flashed enough dynamic athleticism for Oakland to think he can emerge as a playmaker. Former Colt Rashaan Melvin had some stretches of shutdown play last season. The two mesh well as different kinds of cover men in terms of size and speed. The player who will be tough for Oakland to replace, however, is T.J. Carey, one of the game's best slot corners who cashed in with the Browns as a free agent. The Raiders' best option at the position now is Sherry's Wright, 31, followed by Leon Hall, 33. Rookie Nick Nelson is coming off a pre-draft knee injury and likely won't be in the mix. Young veterans Dexter McDonald and Darryl Worley would be much bigger liabilities than Wright might be. Overall, the Raiders will be much improved outside, but they also will be much more vulnerable against inside routes. More, breaking down Raiders' schedule. Safety Reggie Nelson, who will turn 35 during the season, was resigned to start at free safety because he was a Pro Bowler in 2016 and has a good history of success with Gunther. The coordinator will trust Nelson to support Conley and Melvin. Newcomer Marcus Gilchrist won't push Nelson, but he might push strong safety Carl Joseph. Obi Melifonwu, meanwhile, has faced a longer than expected recovery from a season-ending hip injury. Joseph is a good run defender and an asset in the pass rush, but he has been bad in coverage. Gilchrist is more well-rounded but does not have much upside. Joseph should be able to hold his ground with Gilchrist being a valuable backup, but the starter will be pushed to round out his game in his third season after being a high first-round pick.